Hey YouTube, this is our video showing how to repair cracked grout with sanded tile caulk. The sanded tile caulk solution is not a permanent fix. It is really merely a band-aid fix to fill in the gaps. We'll eventually spend the real money and get the whole flooring replaced, but for right now, instead of having these big holes between the tile, we're going to fill them up. If you see right here and these tiles back here, they're raised up a little bit higher. That's partly from the crack and fault in the subfloor that's caused the tile to shift and loosen and move, which has then resulted in the cracked grout. The cool thing about the sanded caulk as we fill that in these different crack lines is it's flexible, so it will move with the movement of the floor. Again, this is a band-aid. It's not a permanent fix, but it should look a lot better than our current situation, which is a lot of cracked and nasty looking grout that isn't super easy to clean up. So we'll get started with the video, show kind of the process, and hopefully come back in 6 months to a year and report kind of how it's held up, and hopefully for my case it's held up well, but we'll see. Okay, here we are, moving on to the step of cutting out the cracked grout with a carbide tip. So what we're using here is the tip that's meant for grout joints that are larger than 1/16 inch. We'll just do a little section. I have this turned up to, looks like 8. As you can see with the areas where it's cracked pretty good, it's going to shake its way out and make it pretty quick. So that whole section right there is done in just a few seconds. Some areas where it's only peeled away from the side, but it's actually pretty strong, takes a little bit longer. Hey, wanted to show something I'm doing. I don't know if this makes sense or not, but I've watched some other videos on repairing cracked grout, but what I've seen is when you come up to a joint like this, I don't need to replace this section. I don't need to replace this section. It's fine. It's this section that's bad, and it's this section is bad. What I've seen is people will go a little bit beyond. Don't just stop here and here. You want to go beyond a little bit. So I'm going to go maybe a ½ inch here, ½ inch here. And the nice thing with this attachment is with the squared off edge, if I go slow, I can go in and get to about here and stop. So it'll be a nice deep straight cut down here, nice deep straight cut down here. So anyways, assuming that's correct, again, I've just seen that in some other videos from people that seem like they know what they're talking about, and hopefully that is what I'm supposed to be doing. We'll find out later. So I decided to tape. This isn't a necessary step, but I found it's a little bit easier cleanup for me, and I get a really nice clean line. So again, this isn't necessary. You could just apply the product and wipe it away with a wet tile sponge if you'd like, but for me, in the little bit that I practiced playing around with it, it made sense to tape it. So this is just some video footage of me showing my tape job. Okay, this next section of the video is showing what it is like just to fill it up. So here I am going pretty slow at the start, just applying the product and then wiping it in with my finger. It's going to shrink quite a bit overnight, so definitely don't need to get it perfect the first filling or second filling, because ultimately the rut is going to be deeper than you would like it. So really this is just merely my first application at night. I'll come back in the morning and add another layer in as it shrinks overnight. Okay guys, next morning, what I'm doing right now is filling in. As you can see, it did shrink quite a bit. So I just did this section 5 minutes ago, moving to this section. So really just again filling in more product. I think even after I fill in this, I'm still going to have to let that dry and then probably do a third, because it just really does shrink quite a bit. And so I'll try to get it smooth and nice looking, but the reality is I'm putting another layer in after this, and the last layer is going to be obviously the important one. So, you know, try to get it smooth and nice looking. But really, right now, it's just more about building up the height. Okay, I've started to remove the tape. I'll see, for the most part, it's coming off pretty clean. I did not wait for it to completely dry. I don't know if that's a smart thing or not so smart thing. As you can see, the edges are still a little bit wet and sticking. Just gonna go ahead and let them kind of dry as they are. It still is a little sticky, and you will notice, because it has the silicone in it, it does flex, and again, that's why the joints are going to be able to not re-crack. So when the tile is stepped on, and it moves a little bit because the underlying problem wasn't fixed, which is a new floorboard. The caulk gives way and flexes a little bit, so you know, you might need to come back and play around with things a little bit. Again, it's not gonna be perfect. This isn't, you know, it's obviously a band-aid fix, right? From a distance, from walking by, it's gonna look totally fine and look great. If you get up close and look really close, yeah, you can see that it's not even. When I do get around to cleaning this grout and sealing it and coloring it, then the color will work together. The colorant and sealant is definitely not as thick, so I might have to put a little bit thicker here and then taper into thinner here. But again, this isn't, you know, this is just a band-aid fix to put off replacing the whole entire floor for, you know, a year or two. So anyways, just wanted to share the update. Okay, so here is a picture of the final job after the tape was removed over by the front door. As you can see, some of the grout lines are still pretty dark. Obviously going to clean that up, then seal and color it with the Poly Blend Grout Renew product. I'll be linking to a video here shortly showing that progress, so you can see what the final job looks like. But I think you can see, at least in this picture, the zigzagging kind of line of the lighter colored grout that, or at least the caulk that looks like grout. Ultimately, I think the job turned out well. I filmed this about a month ago. Been walking all over it. 3 kids in the house, myself and my wife. It's holding up really well, as has the other couple areas that are a lot smaller that we did about 3 months ago. So overall, really pleased so far with how it's turned out. And like I said, I'll link to the video showing how to color and seal with the Poly Blend Grout Renew, so you can see what a completed job using this type of fix plus another technique to really get the floors looking great again. So anyways, hope you enjoyed. Again, feel free to destroy me in the comment section. I'm sure there's plenty of things I did wrong, but like I said, I'll plan to film another video in about a year from now, show how it's holding up, and as long as it is doing a great job, I'll be happy with it. So anyways, hope you've enjoyed this video. Feel free to ask any questions again in the comment section, and I'll try to get back to you